Path of Exile is an ARPG made by Grinding Gear Games, and after making 2 videos on its successor called Path of Exile 2, I wanted to go back and give the first game a real shot. I've played a bit before, but this time I wanted to actually stick with it, learn how it works, and see what makes people love it so much. In this video, I'm going to share what it feels like to play Path of Exile today, what confused me, what surprised me, and how it compares to Path of Exile 2. Is the Path of Exile still the GOAT, or has Path of Exile 2 taken the crown, given the recent update? Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on a road to 1,000 subscribers, and when we get there, I'll make whatever Path of Exile 2 build gets the most likes in the comments. So leave your build idea below, vote for the ones you want to see, and if we hit 1k, I'll have to play it. Please don't make me regret this. Let's get right into it. Select a league, choose a class, give yourself a fitting name as usual, and where's the cutscene? What? Pick up the scepter, defeat the zombie, take the first skill gem, then walk around until you find a chest with the support gem, beat the rest of the zombies until you find Hillock, and beat him mercilessly. Put a point into your talents, and enter Lion's Watch. Talk to Tarkley to receive a new gem, and here we picked up Smite, and talk to Nessa and Bessel for the next quest, which is finding the medical chest on Tidal Island. We go to the coast and free this weird Jin thing, which takes us to the Mirage mechanics, basically the new patch. You enter a mirrored world where you clear the same part of the map, again with extra steps and extra loot. Back in the real world, we defeat more zombies, and I must say, this Holy Hammer skill is kinda goated. We find a waystone and TP back to Lion Eyes to sell off all of our inventory. On the Tidal Island, we fight the Hailrig, who drops the medicine chest. TP back to Lion Eyes once again and get the Quicksilver Flask for speed, which I will conveniently forget to use throughout the campaign, and pick up Ancestral Call support. With that out of the way, Tarkley wants us to go to Mudflats and enter Fetid Pool to kill all the monsters there, and like a good boy we are, we go to the coast and into the Mudflats, find the mysterious looking eggs that we are just going to start collecting for some reason, and I take it all back. Neither Smite nor Holy Hammer do any damage. Look at this shit. I am tickling this blue monster. We go waste time entering another Mirage, and after, pop out to finish collecting eggs and enter Submerged Passage. We receive more goodies from Tarkley, and I pick up Holy Flame Totem and Shield Charge, which helps with the movement a little bit at least. And we find the ledge, which means we forgot to defeat the Dweller of the Deep. Okay, now we can go back to the ledge. But before that, we might finish our optional quest in Fetid Pool, so we go all the way back to clear that as well. Now that is all out of the way, we go back to the ledge and keep pushing until we reach the climb. There we kill stuff until we reach the lower prisons, where we are told to defeat Brutus. Somewhere along the line, we find this little guy, the Screaming Eagle Jade Hatchet, that will replace our current scepter. But let me tell you, we get a lot more luckier during this run later on. We finally find Brutus, who's equally as easy to kill as Hillock, and with that out of the way, we find our way to Prisoner's Gate. Pick up another gem and follow the road to be told we need to find another way to the forest. We find our first wall zone, and we get a bunch of wall goodies that we will barely use. Fairgraves wants us to find the All Flame, and we try Blade Vortex. And while I believe it's an awesome skill to use, I would definitely love to make a build around it. It is completely underwhelming at this stage with no support, so I'll leave it for the minute being. Further, we find the Cavern of Wrath and All Flame that we bring to Fairgraves only for him to start tweaking and force us to fight him. We also tested Absolution skill, but Smite still does about 7 times the damage, so we'll stick with Smite for the time being. Last but not least, we are in Merveil's Caverns, and to be completely honest, so far the game seems a lot easier than its counterpart. All I did is just dodge a couple of balls, hit Merveil, and she went down. Compared to the wolf boss in Act 1 in Path of Exile 2, where he goes through 17 different stages and skills. Regardless, Merveil goes down, and we reach the forest encampment to start Act 2. In the forest encampment, we take all the quests, and we make our way into Riverways to talk to Einhardt, who asks us to defeat all the beasts, and we nearly face our first death. Twice. And shout out to this guy for subscribing while I was recording this offline. This definitely had me double checking my Streamlabs if I was actually streaming this or not. Once all beasts have been defeated, Einhard wants us to try his blood altar for a couple of orbs of socket things, and we go back to our quests. Now we are instructed to kill the bandits. After double checking if I should kill Alira or not, I decided to kill her and kill all bandits for the extra 2 talent points at the end of the quest line. Going back to the encampment, we are also instructed to go to the Chamber of Sins, but I just realized I never went back to Lion Eye's Watch to complete the Merveil questline, so we did that and received another talent point. And this is what our talent tree looks like so far. A bit goofy, but it's alright, we can always fix that later on in the run. While in Lion Eye's Watch, I also picked up Holy Sweep to try out, and low-key, kinda fun. To Wetlands, we go to find Oak. We kill him too. Before killing the last bandit, we face off against the Weaver as well. Wayne got shit on me and goes down rather quickly. We also find the Den and one-tap the Great White Beast. Moving on to the Crossroads and the Broken Bridge, and here we fight Caitlin as well. With all the bandits down, we got back to Ermir for the Apex and we move on to the Chamber of Sins. Let's not forget to do the Trials of Ascendancy, defeat the random unique, talk to Helena, and go back to the encampment to complete the quests. And then we are given more quests. First, we'll go to the crypt, where we are tasked to find the Golden Hand. Let's not forget to do another Trial of Ascendancy here, and roam around the crypt until we find the Golden Hand, which was relatively easy for another talent point book. With the roots now out of the way, we can go further into the Wall of Ruins, where we find the Ancient Seal, and what the fuck, everything's gone to shit. We're tasked to banish the darkness by traveling to the caverns, and from there we will need to ascend the Ancient Pyramid. This will lead us straight to the final boss of Act 2, Duval Oversoul, which did not scare me at all. If anything, the other way around. Look at my damage. And we go through the passage to Sarn Encampment, starting Act 3. In Sarn Encampment, we find the Trials of Ascendancy Black, but it seems I've missed one on the lower prisons, so I go and do that real quick. And with that out of the way, there are still 3 more trial plaques to find, so we'll keep that in the back of our mind. First thing we need to get out of the way is finding Tolman in the crematorium. We go to the slums which lead to the crematorium shortly after. Oh look, another plaque. We beat Piety and realize Tolman is cooked. Quite literally. And look at this, a full book of quests to complete. Yay. We go to sewers to find the 3 platinum busts and find how to undrain the blockage. We also find a way to Marketplace which lead to catacombs, but my quest log doesn't change, so it means we need to go elsewhere for a minute. Battlefront it is, and there we stumble upon the Solaris Temple. Couple of holy sweeps later, and we are at level 2 looking for the tomb of the Gemling Queen, but instead we find Lady Diala. We need to recover the ribbon spool for her at the battlefront. Before doing that, we'll turn that quest in from Hargan for a book of skill, and now we are ready to go back to the battlefield. It took us literally 1 minute to find ribbon spool, and we get a shitty amulet for it. Now Diala wants us to find something else for her at the docks, which is gonna have to wait. Oh hell nah, another ship blocking me. And we find Fairgraves yet again with a quest. We'll skip that for the minute since we found another thing for Lady Diala, who gives us a talk to unlock the drain in the sewers. This will open up the path to Ebony Barracks. There, we'll one-tap the General Gravicius and get a gem of our choosing, and I ran straight to the gem lady to pick up all the different red gems that I might try to use in the near future. Dominating Blow looks really good if I only had enough attack speed, to be fair. Ice Crash looks really good as well. I didn't read into Holy Hammer enough to realize I actually need power charges to make it super good and do double damage. I decided to go back to Smite for a little bit, since Tooltip told me it did the most damage out of all. Yeah, no, Holy Sweep is just goated. Anyways, we are in Lunara's temple looking for Piety, and we find a portal that leads us to her. Holy Sweep has this thing where it can hit twice in one swing, and I just couldn't get the positioning right, but I've only noticed it in the edit. Ah well, let's talk to Grigor. Another book of skill, I'll take it. Now we need to go to the Imperial Gardens to unlock the Scepter of God, whatever that means. We also find the library as well, where we look for 4 golden pages to turn into more support gems. Back to Imperial Gardens, and oh, okay, this is the Scepter of God, okay. Back to Imperial Gardens again for the plum, and now we need to find the other thing in the marketplace. We're only missing the catacombs, Blake, really. Oh, we skipped the catacombs, oh, right, well, let's go back and get that done. In the marketplace, we find the Cantor as well for Fairgraves, so that's done as well. Now, catacombs, and let's clear the plaque so we can do the trials. Back to Fairgraves, and all of that just to get a shitty ring off him. Now, let's do the trials real quick. Okay, that was very quick. Ooh, what's this Transfigure gem? Oh no, wait, no! Why did I just wasted a gem. Just give me the infernal blow. Fuck it. Right. Ascendancies, ascendancies. I took a hard look at all of them, and I just a guardian. They all look relatively okay-ish, and I think I can just reroll in the end game anyways. Can I? I would assume so. So let's just put 2 points into shrines. Wait, hold on. Did I? Where are my shrines? Did I put the point in this? What the fuck? Oh wait, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I have 2 random shrines at all times? Holy shit, I reckon I can make a build out of this. Back to the Scepter of God, and okay, we're kind of doing damage. Just the AoE is abysmally low. Oh my god, am I even going to be able to beat the boss here? Oh, okay, maybe? Oh wow, yeah, okay. When I do hit it, it actually deals damage. The dominance goes down, and the entrance for Act 4 opens up. Let's keep progressing. Act 4 starts by traveling to Highgate. There we meet the gang, pick up all the quests, and I decided to keep testing all of the abilities. Then went to Dried Lake to defeat Vol for the Deshret banner, to break the seal in Highgate to unlock mining with Nico. And honestly, it's a really fun mechanic so far. And I wish we get that in Path of Exile too. Back to questing, we free Deshret Spirit and we'll look for Rapture Device, find Ayala and the Rupture Device, which we need to power from Kayom and Daresso. First we'll go to Daresso's Dream, clear the area to face off against, obviously, Daresso, who was relatively easy to beat. We take his Eye of Desire, bring it to Ayala, and then we go into Kayom's Dream. Clear that and find Kayom, who was much easier. I think I might have just had higher fire resistance, to be honest. Pick up the Eye of Fury, bring that to Ayala, and let her fire up a beam from the Rapture Machine, which opens up the way to Belly of the Beast. We ended up switching back to Holy Sweep, found level 2, and to face off against the boss of the Act 4, you need to defeat 4 different bosses: Piety, Deidre, Chevron, and Maligaro. Only then are we able to find and enter Black Core to face off against Malachi. And it was at this point where I realized that the bosses in Path of Exile can get extremely challenging, because what the fuck is all of this shit? But after a bit of maneuvering, he does go down. Act 4 is probably the shortest one, but definitely most engaging one, given that there's so many different bosses to defeat. But nevertheless, a path opens up for us to navigate to Act 5. This act starts off in the snowy mountain, where we look for the portal to enter Oriath, and after 20 minutes of looking around, we finally find and activate Resonator that takes us to fucking nowhere, aka Slave Pens, and we finally face our first death. And after too much time getting lost again, we finally get the ladders dropped for us so we can enter the Overseer's Tower. There we get this really cool ring with mixed resistances, and we keep pushing the story. We move on to control blocks first. There, our mission is to defeat Justicar Causticus. He goes down in 5 ice crashes, we take his Eye of Zeal, go back to Overseer Tower for a reward, try out Righteous Fire for fun, die for literally no reason, contemplate build choices, completely swap build around again, have it work better than ever, and keep pushing the story again. Navigate through Templar Courts until we find Chamber of Innocence. And oh my god, we found the Divine Orb, oh my fucking god, let's go! Find the High Templar of Arius. We actually have so much damage. Oh no, stage 2, okay. Defeat Innocence, and he also has a stage 2, of course. Now with him down, we wait for Sin to show up and a cutscene plays out, which tells us absolutely nothing. Let's just put that Divine Orb aside for now. Grab a jewel, go back to the courts again, this time scorched, until we find the ruined square. We go to the ossuary to find the tomb of the first Templar, which drops Sign of Purity, which we will need to use to defeat Kitava. And back to ruined squares until we find, well, Kitava. I do just about enough damage, his heart comes out and we try to beat it. I have a feeling this is gonna take a while. He then comes back up and just one-taps us, and we are prompted to return to Wraeclast. Before I do that, I kinda want to finish all the optional quests, so I go back to the Reliquary. We also find Utala on our way there. That was an easy fight. Finally, in Reliquary, we find all the Kitava's Torment, which we deliver to Lonnie for extra point, and then we'll navigate to Wraeclast again. Well, hold on a second, haven't I been here? Oh, the quest in the area actually changes. Alright. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. This is where the Path of Exile 2 gets the interlude style questing from. We've loads of things to do, so let's just clean out Twilight Strand first. We got a bulk with a point for that. At this stage, I decided to trade in my Divine Orb for Chaos Orb, so we can get a bunch of things for the build early on. We then kept going, exploring different League mechanics, some of which are expeditions and breaches, which I didn't really understand. We'll skip them for now. First, we need to find the missing eye to enter Karui Fortress, which was relatively easy. We also find Nessa, who's bro, like you can literally just throw the staff to her and like she can grab onto it and like you can survive. Nope, I'll have to go to the ship's graveyard. Before I complete any of it, I'm gonna go to the Tidal Island for Bestel's manuscript. We are also introduced to heists, which, again, we'll revisit later. We went back to Karui Fortress and defeated Tukohama. We are finally introduced to Pantheons as well, which we will forget as well, as usual. Now we move to the ridge and we keep pushing until we find the entrance to the lower prisons. First and foremost, we'll solve the trial, get stuck in it multiple times until we finish it, and find Chevron's tower, and then navigate the tower until we find the ladder to the rooftop. There we will fight Chevron and reassemble Brutus, and wow, he just one-taps me. I come back for seconds and one-tap him back, and leave through Prisoner's Gate. We brag to Tarklade that we have defeated Brutus once again, and he gives us more bosses to defeat. It really is a tough world in Wraeclast. We also tinker a little bit to have a bit more automation in regard to my minions and Molten Shell, and get back to questing. We finally find Nessa, and it seems she's turned into a mermaid. Alright, we're forced to go to Mervale Caverns once again, but we find Valley of the Fire Drinker first. Oh, Aberath, alright. Oh, what, I have to go through the area? Okay. Oh wow, that's it? I think I might be doing a little bit too much damage at this point. Another Pantheon bites the dust, and we finally move to the Western Forest, and then the Riverways, and then the Southern Forest, and then we finally find Cavern of Anger. We are to take the Black Flag and use it at the beacon to summon the Black Crest. Going further through the caves, we find the beacon area, where I get lost for about 10 minutes, then figure out how the fuel cards work, and we finally powered it up, and we lit the beacon. We then speak to Whalem Roth, where he takes us to the Brine King's Reef. I genuinely hope this is the last area up for this act because it was genuinely very hard to navigate. Wait, it's a fucking crab. Okay, so it is the last area, God bless. Act 7 starts in the Bridge encampment and you are bombarded with things to do already. We speak to familiar faces and keep it pushing. Actually, we did go back to do the last optional quest to defeat the Puppet Mistress, which was also relatively easy. Now, back to Act 7. I also realized I can put stuff to sale for some passive income with Faustus, which nets us an instant 1 Chaos Orb straight away. Let's fucking go. The Broken Bridge leads us to the Silver Locket quickly, and oh wow, I actually could have gotten at least 7 Chaos for the 1 and 2 Chaos for the axe, huh? Ah well, you live and you learn. We found Crossroads and they lead us to Chamber of Sins, where we found the map device. It doesn't really work, does it now? We go further down the rabbit hole, aka level 2, where we need to fight Maligaro. I still didn't understand the map device. Am I supposed to find the map first, or is this a quest, or? We decided to leave that for later. We found the crypt where we will do the trial real quick. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So I did have to do it this way, I guess. So click the map device, drop in Maligaro's map, and there we go. Maligaro's Sanctum. Here, we enter Maligaro's workshop where we find, well, Maligaro, and he goes through a stage or two and ultimately goes down. We grab the Black Venom, bring it to Silk, he then gives us the Obsidian Key to access the den, and we also get the entrance to level 2, so we'll go there first. We found a secret passage which will lead us to the den. From here, we must navigate our way to the old forest encampment. Before we do that, we'll go back real quick. And oh wait, we can complete the trials already? Okay, that was quick. I'll keep that in the back of our head. Kept pushing through the den until we found the Ashen Fields, where we finally found the old encampment. And I must say, dominating blow, kinda sick. You can tell I've gotten used to it by now. Another boss bites the dust, and we find ourselves in the Dread Thicket. We also find the Den of Despairs, and okay, here we go, another boss. And he's down. Let's go back to accept all the quests. I think all of these quests in this act specifically are a bit mumbo-jumboed all together and don't make much sense. Still don't understand why we need the fireflies, but let's try to find the temple. Okay, we found the causeway, alright. Here we'll learn about incursions, and I'll be honest, this is by far one of my favorite mechanics so far. They definitely need to bring this to Path of Exile 2. I mean it is similar to Vaal Temple, I guess. Never mind. Here we find Vaal City. And we found the Arcali's temple. So wait, I'm supposed to find a way into the temple, but I already had all the fireflies to open the door? Exactly what I mean when I say it's mumbo jumboed. It feels like quests are supposed to be done in a specific order, but you can kind of skip it if you literally do all the seemingly optional stuff. Regardless, we enter the Temple of Decay, and there we find yet another mechanic, Trial Master. We do 2 rounds, get bored, and keep moving deeper into the tower until we find Arcali. Wow, I actually do a lot of damage. Okay, never mind, the spider just healed. With him out of the way, we get another Pantheon and move on to Act 8. Don't worry, I finished all the optional quests. Navigating through the ramparts, we find the Sarn encampment. Here, we speak to the usual faces we met before, and before I do anything, we speedrun through labs to get 2 additional ascendancy points. Izaro of course stands 0 chance against me and my minions. This time around, I gambled just about any red gem, and we had absolutely nothing useful to be honest. I guess we'll try out Earth Shatter for now. Now Ascendancy, let's pick up the totem points. I might as well get upgraded Dominated Glow at this stage since I'm most likely going to go all in on this skill. And they're only 1 Chaos Orb. We will pick this one up for 4 Chaos, just so I don't have to level it at all. We'll go through the Toxic Conduits first, and this is where I fell in love with the Delirium. Just mobs constantly coming out of thin air, like the true hack and slash ARPG experience I want from a game. We find the Daedra's Cesspool, and again, Delirium. We get a new gem. We got a new level, and we're finally able to use Dominating Blow and Inspiring, and we are currently at 26k tooltip DPS with all of my buffs, which is just insane in my opinion, especially this early on. We find a cauldron where we close the vault and we face off against Daedra. Wow, the damage is insane. We go out of the sewer outlet and find a way to the Grand Promenade. Now we need to find the moon and the sun orb and the Ankh of Eternity, so let's get to it. We found the High Gardens where we are instructed to defeat Ugul, which after finding Poles of Terror I thought it's just going to be a really scary fight, which it was, but after a bit of maneuvering and nearly dying a couple of times and jumping into the balls, we were able to defeat him. Yet another Pantheon to add to our collection. I was a bit bored, so I did a couple of incursions, and I got a little bit confused here. I thought we were in the key. Find Clarissa. Right, I just checked everywhere. Oh wait, here? Ah, fuck off. Defeat zombies already, yeah. Tallman is gone, okay. Yeah, just give me the +1. That took me 20 minutes. Speaking of which, this is what our passive tree looks like at the moment. Just all minion damage and a bit of block, I guess. I don't know. Now, we need to go to the Grain Gate to defeat the Gemling Legionnaires. Okay, that was easy. +1 again. We eventually find the portal for the Solar Orb, and we defeat Dawn with ease. Now onto the Moon Orb in Lunaris Temple. Another portal, and we kill Dusk. Where to now? Is it this? The Sky Shrine? Yep, that's it. Let's just clear this real quick. Yeah, that was a drag of an act, to be honest. Act 9 starts off by navigating through the Blood Aqueduct until we reach Highgate, meet the locals as usual, and collect all possible quests. We get up to the descent and found Bastiri Deserts. And what is that on my minimap? Oh, is this the mechanic? Wait, interrogate? What? Wait, why are all the items scribbled? Oh, wait, is this the OG Hibanashi? Oh my god, it makes so much sense. Alright, we'll be skipping that. We found the Boiling Lake until we find the boil thing called Basilisk, and it drops acid. Now we just need the powder. We'll just bring the Stormblade to Petrus and Vanya real quick. Okay, we get Bottled Storm to clear the Sandstorm in the Vastiri Desert. Whatever that means. One thing I've had an issue with is some sort of the quest lines later on just seems very cryptic. Okay, we just literally needed to find the entrance to an oasis for this. Alright. We defeat Kari. Granted, it does take us a while, because I don't know if I speedran this, or it bugged, or what, but this was just weird. And then this invulnerability stage, it took eons to get over with. Regardless, we still need to find the powder to progress, so we prioritize that. We find the General Adus, who is guarding the vault with the powder machine with its life. Needless to say, he goes down with ease, and we need to deliver it to Sin in the quarry, and he tells us to meet him in the Black Core. Before we do that, we find the Shrine of the Winds, where we find Garrikon to receive the Sekimus Feather, and we are given a choice to give it to either Tasuni or Irasha, and whoever receives it will rule Highgate. I don't think that this in no way, shape or form is irrelevant, I don't think, so I just choose Irasha for the +1 passive point. Before meeting Sin in the Black Core, and what would most likely be the end of the act, we went back to the foothills to find the Calendar of Fortune, which lead us to Boulderback. He goes down again in 3 hits, and we get 2 respect points. Nice. Back to the mission at hand, we meet up with the goat at the Black Core, and we are instructed to defeat all the spirits, Deirdre, Chevron, and Meligaro yet again. This took a hot minute, and once done, the entrance to the Black Heart opens. Here we fight the depraved Trinity, which was a lot easier than some of the Pantheons with their invulnerability stages. With that done, the only thing we have to do now is to talk to Lily Roth to take us to Ariat for the final act. With us in Ariat, the first course of action is saving Bannon on the cathedral rooftop. We fight off the Kitava cultists and defeat Plaguewing. We are instructed to meet him at the docks, and once there, only then are we bombarded with stuff to do. We'll make sure to finish all the trials, of course, and at this point I realize I can do the 3rd lab, and we also find Elixir of Allure. 2 respect points. Yoink. The video wants us to go to the Forbidden Sanctum, and that's when I realized this is basically Trials of Sekima in less steps. I just don't understand what I'd get out of it, given labs are a thing. I think it's just another mechanic. Obviously we'll be skipping this, of course, but it is really cool to see how Path of Exile 2 has been shaped up by a game that has been alive for nearly 13 years. They have so much experience with trial and error, and they just rinse and repeat with mechanics people like or /dislike. Anyways, back to the lab. To be honest, this was easy peasy. Inara stood 0 chance against my 12 minions, and let's put the last 2 points to block. And I think my block chance should be capped at this point as well, as long as I press a spell every 4 seconds or so. Back to the campaign, we found Sanctum of Innocence, where we fight against the various, and oh wow, we have damage. Speedrun everything else, until the only thing we have to do is to fight Kitava. Let me break it down for you. With Kitava down, we can finally take a breather and set sail away from Ariath. Congratulations, we have finally finished the tutorial.
You're still watching? Make sure you subscribe.
We wake up at Carry Shores, and we are told to speak to Commander Kirak. We also earned the nickname Godslayer. I like that. He gives us the map, tells us to put it into the map device, and see for ourselves the mighty Path of Exile endgame. And I, of course, shit myself because I nearly died in our first map, and then again, nearly dying to the map boss. And this makes me aware that I should probably work on my defenses a tiny bit. We also learn about the Atlas tree, and edit note, I wish I actually took time to learn it instead of just randomly putting points in. Genuinely, I had no idea of what I even wanted to spend my time in Endgame, nor which mechanics I liked or disliked. Since for me, the biggest criteria of playability of this game is it fun or is it not fun? After spending a bit of our hard-earned cash, we've gotten loads of upgrades to our build, and as you can see, we got 5 link chest, crazy good staff, and a bunch of other stuff. And I've also realized I've loads of those Apex stuff from doing Val Caves, and I really wanted to know what happens when you put them all in. Mind you, I've only done up to tier 4 or 5 maps at this stage, so there's no way that this is a good idea in any way, shape, or form, but curiosity got the cat. After a few cases of stairs, we found our first boss room, where we fought 2 Vessels of the Wall. I've done loads of damage, and I've taken very little, which gives me a bit too much confidence going forward. Not even a minute later, we find another boss room against 3 bosses that I cannot pronounce. I burst one of them down for the cost of half of my HP, and then the second as well, but then I just simply take too much damage, literally for no reason, and die a very silly death. We go back in and finish what we started, and then I die again. No comment. We climb the staircase all the way to the Queen's chamber, and I can only assume that this is the final boss we're up against, Atziri, the Queen of the Fall. She goes into the first stage of invulnerability. Almost straight away, we have to defeat the mobs on the side to spawn, and we are starting to burst her down, but she is again quick to go invulnerable. We defeat the horde of the undead spawns yet again, and I just get one-tapped from a yellow glowing circle that is so telegraphed a blind person would step out of it. But yeah, not me. At this point, I've only 3 more chances, and I should be a lot more careful this time around. But let me put it to you this way. I died in a span of 5 seconds due to glowing stuff yet again, and the portal closed on me. I definitely should have focused on mapping first. After reaching level 80 and spending far too much time reading into every single passive talent tree, we found the first Maven's challenge. Not really sure what this was supposed to be like, but it was way too easy, so I realized that this is definitely not a first pinnacle boss already. We kept pushing maps until we found another, and this was relatively easy. I've also changed gear a tiny bit to include a little bit of energy shield as well, since I was thinking of going either full ES or full live, but I couldn't decide. At some stage, we did our first Genesis 3, but I didn't get anything special, I don't think so anyways. So we kept pushing maps further and further. We decided to take on to the flooded mines. That looks like breaching, so that was cool too. There was something about this build that still felt a little bit off. Most notably the fact that first and foremost it's a melee build and you have to be very careful of how you position yourself at all times, since you could just be evaporated in an instant. And let's be honest, given I'm just a tourist, I definitely do not know the best defensive layers, which is a learning curve in and of itself. And second, if I'm doing a boss and my minions die, I don't really have a good way of keeping them up, nor do I have a Vol version of the skill for extra damage, so I am a tiny bit cooked here. Regardless, we ended up reaching tier 10s, we spent big bucks for a new chest with additional defenses. What is that sound?
Life is a waterfall, we run with the river.
No, I can't go back to this. No!
Swimming through the void, we hear the word, we lose ourselves, but we find it all.
Alright, yeah, I've decided I'm going to play Kinetic Fuselated Guardian Templar. Yes, I know I know it's stupid, I know it's literal insanity given the build was so good so far. I get it, but just look at this. I fucking love this skill, man. After beating another Maven's challenge, and about 10 hours later, we found the Flesh Compass, which we can use to scout out the Eater of the Worlds. I would assume that would be the pinnacle boss. We finally get anointment for my necklace that gives us an additional reduced skill duration, and I swear to God, it actually feels like it doubles the damage. Also, whatever this mechanic is, it is so fucking goofy. Do you know that game with the balloons? The balloons? Or what the fuck was it called? It's just fucking funny. We also revisited the Sanctum Archives, aka Trials of Sekima. We just demolished this guy, holy fuck. We finished at tier 15 and we got a Writhing Invitation. Before trying that out, I wanted to see how the Sporejoy's Asylum tier 11 map would go, and yeah, fuck me. Okay, go again. Apart from that one rare mob, that was relatively easy. We also did this memory map thing. Not sure what that is about, so I decided to do another 13 unique map in the meantime, found the boss and nearly shat myself, but we kept going. At this stage I finally found courage to challenge the first pinnacle boss, the Eater of the Worlds. I'll let it play out.
Rumbling, rumbling, it's coming, rumbling, rumbling.
Beware! Coming for you!
All I ever wanted to do was do right things. I never wanted to be the king.
I swear!
All I ever wanted to do was save your life. I never wanted to grab a knife.
I swear!
Oh god, okay, we go again.
Fearless! Fearless! Burning! Burning! You tell me what have I missed? Still wandering in the deepest.
If I lose it all, slip and fall, I will never look away. If I lose it all, lose it all, lose it all. If I lose it all outside the wall, live to die another day. I don't want anything, I'm just here to
Beware!
Okay, that was actually really good. I still feel that I'm really low on defenses though. We'll go back to mapping. And would you look at that, another Divine in the wild. More tier 15s. And I've also decided to do the Temple of Atziri until we find the boss, the Val Omnitect, and it seems like this isn't in any specific boss or something like that, or a pinnacle, which made me a little bit sad, but we kept pushing until we found another one. We did stumble upon this. we dropped a Polaric Invitation. So let's do that first. Not sure if this was a pinnacle, but it was a lot easier than some of the other bosses done at this stage. I think this is also another pinnacle, I think in the Chambers of Impurity, and found the boss, and after a bit of maneuvering, and my god, this was difficult. This just took me 2 days to learn the basic of the interaction. I will say, the bosses in this game actually do have really interesting and cool mechanics. And at the very least, we find yet another pinnacle boss, I think. Incarnation of Fear. Let me play this one out as well.
Put me out of my misery! Put me out of my misery! Put me out of my fucking misery!
And unfortunately, at this point, I ran out of space on my SSD, so I will have to end the video here. In conclusion, right, I'll put it to you this way. It's definitely a game you either love or hate, right? It has too much content, which for someone like me, for example, can be really daunting. And imagine if you were just a complete stranger to the ARPG genre, unless you're the type of person to like persevere through the setbacks in terms of like figuring stuff out and the wonky learning curve, I don't think you'll have fun, right? Like for me, obviously, I have a little bit of experience mainly from PoE 2, which made this a lot more enjoyable, and I can't see how someone who isn't like fully willing to like spend time to learn the game and its mechanics over like ever touching the game, right? But if you're willing to take the time and willing to put in the hours and do some trial and error and play with the path of building and figure stuff out and be creative, I think there is not a single game that can feel nearly as rewarding as Path of Exile. Ever. So, TLDR, game is good and you should definitely put 4,000 hours into it. Like and subscribe.